Welcome to the InfoGov Hot Seat Vodcast, featuring candid interviews with practitioners, consultants, and solution providers on hot topics in the information governance industry. Here's your host, Jim Merrifield.
So this is cool, right? This is the first live episode in person of the InfoGov Hot Seat. How many actually know what the heck the InfoGov Hot Seat is? All right, like a fourth of the room. Okay, well hopefully by the end of today you kind of know what it is. But anyway, again, welcome to the live show. I'm Jim Merrifield, I'm your host. With me today is Gorr and Jacki Cheslow. How many of you actually know Ann and Jacki? Everybody knows Ann and Jacki. Right. Didn't they do a great job with this tonight?
Thank you.
You two are probably breathing a sigh of relief right now, huh?
Yes.
There's wine in my future.
Yeah, that's right. Wine, I tell you, wine, whatever. Hey, something stronger maybe, whatever in your future. All right, so listen, I know you put a wonderful event on. You guys, both of you have been doing this for a few years.
Yeah.
How could you come to a conference these days and not talk about AI or ChatGPT? Right. I think we've heard tons about both those technologies.
Right.
Or I guess they're going the same. Right. So thank you so much for that. So let's talk about this conference today. What are your key takeaways, Dan, from this conference? There's a lot of presentations, a lot of great speakers, a lot of energy, a lot of great conversations. What's your key takeaways?
I just think knowledge is power, right? That's my answer, is knowledge is power. And when you have the opportunity to get the knowledge and get the power, then you also have the opportunity, and it's difficult because after COVID, nobody wanted to come back out. I mean, people are very happy to just sit there. And I know as well as you know, if I watch something on a webinar, I'm multitasking and I'm not getting what I need. And when I come to something like this, I get what I need, right? I can hear the speaker, and the takeaway is, it's the networking, right? It's the, hey, can you help me? There's a new thing. There's like, oh, you're doing that? Can you, so I think that's very critical, and that's my takeaway, is that it's the whole process, the whole immersion.
Well said. Jack?
Yeah, I have to go back to something I heard Anthony Diana say earlier today about, asking questions and always learning more, and you're talking to people who think they're the smartest people in the room, but they're not. And so I don't think any of us, and I speak about the collective us in this room, ever think we're the smartest people in the room, because we know we need to keep learning, we need to keep growing, we need to keep educating ourselves, because I don't know about the rest of you, but this is all changing way too fast for me. And I don't think that's a reflection on my age, I just think it's changing way too fast for me. And the only way to keep up is to attend these kind of events. And I got to second what Ann said about networking. We did the past year, we did virtual during the year and in person now. And I said, no more. We need to go back to in person, because I need to see people. And I had more fun today walking around, shaking people's hands and getting to know them. We have a number of new members in the room, which is so refreshing. So a couple of things going on, and really starting to bring people into the fold. And when you talk about networking, you never know who you're going to meet at one of our meetings. Literally, we had 2 women who came in who ran an organization business. They will come in and organize your house, and so they were very interested in what we were doing, because we were all about organizing data and organizing records. And they came to a few meetings to get some ideas, and I was like, how are we helping you? They're like, but you are. When you talk about classification and you talk about retention, and it's the same concepts, much like David Gould talked today about how wine has a shelf life, it has metadata. So does everything in your house. And so you never know who you're going to meet. I think that's the key thing about being in person. It really is that you can get so much just from the people you meet and talk to.
And I think to further upon that is the quality of the speakers. The majority of the speakers who were on the stage today are national level speakers. And the fact that you not only get to go to this, but you're in a small enough environment that you can actually discuss things with national level speakers. That's kind of cool, right? That you get to meet people that you wouldn't necessarily have access to. So I encourage you to network with those people. Not that you're not at the top of the food chain, but there's some people here that are at the top of the food chain. Network with them.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk a little bit about the information governance profession. You both said, it's changed. I know, Jackie, you've been teeing up my next questions the last few
Always happy to
minutes.
help.
I love it. And I didn't really give her any notes either, so it is the hot seat. So how has it, the InfoGov profession changed over the last, say, let's not go too far out, maybe 3 to 5 years?
Even 3 to 5 years. I mean, I know from my perspective, we were basically looked at the people the litigation attorneys went to and they couldn't find what they needed, right? Or your tax auditors came in and let's go ask records because they'll know where everything is. But that's no longer the case. Now, they're bringing in new technologies or exploring new options. And I work for a membership-based organization, and we have 420,000 members in 160 countries. So they'll come to me and we'll start asking questions about complying and what are the local laws and what do we need to look at. So we've gone from being the people who, manage the information to helping make that information valuable and helping the business learn how to use it better. And I think that's a huge thing for us. Still a struggle in a lot of organizations because they look at us as the record managers, but information governance professionals bring such value to an organization because knowledge is not only power, it's money. And if you know how to use that information and you know how to help them better take advantage of what they have, and many organizations don't even realize it, it's a powerful place to be, and the ability you have to influence an organization's direction is incredible.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy sometimes to talk about 3 to 5 plan projections, when you do that, because look just this year, look how ChatGPT took over everything this year, right? So for me to say a 3 to 5 year plan, we don't even know what's happening in the next 6 months. So I think that's very hard to put a lasso around. But I think of anything, I think we're being forced to be more collaborative. And I think if anything's happening now, there's the intersection, like you take that Arma wheel or you take that EDRM wheel, all of those pieces now intersect for the good of the business. And where they used to be a little more siloed, they're now kind of recognizing the error of their ways because we can't be siloed and succeed. So I think in the 3 to 5 year plan, if that's what we're going to go in, and I'm saying let's just talk about a year at a time, I think in the 3 to 5 year plan we're going to see more collaborative and strategic planning than we have in the past. Because just even the discussion, the last one, well, we're not sure what we're doing, like everybody's, so I think there has to be more, collaboration.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with those sentiments. So, last question, actually no, second to last question. What are you excited about this year? I mean, except for, ChatGPT, AI, give me something else.
Is this personal
what
or
are you
is
excited
this
about? Well,
personal
hey, listen,
or
we
business?
we could talk about information governance, or we could talk about, vacation. What are you excited about this year?
Well,
We don't
I'm
have to talk about industry stuff.
I'll do half and half. So I'm excited that the majority, I'm a consultant and my clients are mid-market, right? They're in mid-market. I'm not in the AM 100s usually. I have been, but not usually. And I'm in the mid-market, and I'm just excited that I've got a lot of projects where people are getting their information governance house in order, and that they're listening, right? Not only that they hire me to help them, but they're actually freaking doing it, right? And that to me is like, hallelujah, praise the Lord, right? So to me, that's the exciting part. Other exciting things, my son is getting married in 2 weeks and still does not have his tux. So that's a little stressful in Philadelphia. I mean, that's a little crazy. And then 2 weeks after that, so June's filled 2 weeks later, my kids are all taking me at the end of June for the 4th of July weekend to Ireland, and I've never been, so that was my Christmas gift. So isn't that nice? So that's so to me, I'm going to hope to not bring my computer to a couple of things. So I'm going to be out of office for a little bit of time in June and July, but that's what's going on in my life. I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating, I'm trying to get to the end of June. I'm just, we finished this, and this will be like, oh Lord, right? And then the next thing is, and this is why, we have to have a speaker, like, there's just so many moving parts, and it's on top of your job and on top of what Jacki pulls together. It's a lot of work, and every year, about last week, I was like, I'm never doing this again. Never doing this again.
That's why you wait till late in the afternoon to ask.
Never do
Because then you can see the success and feel the relief.
And my kids will say, what are you doing that for? Do you get paid for that? No. Well, why are you doing it? I'm like, because I believe in the organization.
Yep.
So.
And you love the industry, so
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you.
That's awesome. You deserve some time off. Hope
Just-
you really don't check your email.
I know. Just pray that the tux gets fitted this time. There's no sense of urgency. I have a son that is as laid back as they can honestly be, and he has a mother and two sisters that are as type A compulsive as I am, and we're all like this. What do you mean you don't have that? I'm like, there was just, it'll happen. So
That's too funny. Jacki,
But
how
it
about
will
you?
happen.
it will happen. Just maybe not in my place.
Well, my personal and my professional are kind of wrapped up in one. I am retiring from my current position, not to stop working, but I just don't want to go to an office or report to anybody anymore, and I'm moving into a consultant sphere. And so, if anybody has any consultant work, I'm dual certified in corporate compliance and information governance. So, but I'm really looking forward to it because I've spent the last 3 decades in 3 employers. So, really spent a long time in organizations, and I think you get them to as far as you can get them, and it's time to go create or do or build something new. And so I'm looking forward to be able to help organizations do that in the next phase of things. So to be able to go in and explore, and it also gives me an opportunity to spend a whole lot more time developing on my own, because working a full-time job, being a volunteer, and having a family doesn't leave you a lot of time for yourself. And so I'm looking forward to starting to think about, my own development again. I'm a big believer in continuous learning, and I will probably be taking classes and reading books until they put me in the ground, and I fully intend to take advantage of the time now and do that.
That's great. You know what I want to do, just to add to the vacation? If you never read this article, and it's maybe 3 or 4 years old, but it's on LinkedIn. It's by Dennis Garcia, Assistant General Counsel at Microsoft, and he's got an article, and we should all read it. It's called Taking a Real Vacation. And it talks about all the things you need to do to take a real vacation and why it's necessary. And it's pertinent. I try to read it every year. Like he'll post it again like near the beginning of the summer. This still has not changed. So I encourage you to go find Dennis Garcia. You should follow him. He writes an awful lot of stuff, but he's part of the Microsoft team. So
Yeah.
he's very active. So all
That's
right, that
wise.
was that.
That's wise advice. So listen, final question. It wouldn't be a hot seat interview without one fun fact. Right? A lot of my interviewers, interviewees rather, try to skate by the fun fact about yourself, but I can't allow you to do that. I know you shared something personal, both of you, but what's one fun fact about yourself? You want me to take Jacki
Yeah,
first?
take Turkey fast.
All right,
Tonight.
Jacki, come on. One fun fact. Come on.
Sacrifice me. I fancy myself a chef.
Okay.
So I do catering on the side, because I have so much spare time. But I fancy myself a chef.
I love it. All right.
I'm a vocalist, and I sing for weddings, and I used to sing in coffee shops, like the coffee house things, and a wedding band when I was younger. And then you had kids, so you stuck into like the church things. So I sang at weddings and funerals and special things, and I do a lot of choral concerts. And one of the so I'm a vocalist, and it was one of the most amazing things. There was very similar to something like this. It was just all the churches in all the musicians in the Diocese of Trenton came, New Jersey, I'm Catholic, they came together they sent people, and we had a choral concert and sang a complete Handel's Messiah, which, at Christmas was like, to get me to be that way, to have the goosebumps. It was just amazing to be able to perform that in that kind of a realm. So I'm a musician, and I love to sing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Again, thank you for being guests on the hot seat. Before I let you go, we do have one final guest, but before I let you go, do we want to give Ann and Jacki a round of applause for being
Before I get out of this seat, I want everyone to pull out their phones and put this on their calendar. June 12th, 2024. We'll be right back here.
All right, I forgot to ask that question.
Yeah,
Thank you
There
very
go.
much.
There you go, so we'll.
Thank you, Ann,
Thank
Jackie.
you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Mr. Gould.
All right, our next guest, final guest, and it will be a short interview because I know everybody's hungry and wants to have a beverage. Be David Gould. If you could come on down, be a guest in the hot seat. I won't sit right next to you, because
Wow.
I'm gonna give you some space. After the dinner last night, you probably could use some space.
Yeah,
We'll sit next to
exactly.
each other. So, again, welcome, David,
Thank you.
on the hot seat. We'll start off here. One fun fact about yourself. Tell us.
Well, that is
Put you on the
such a
spot.
fun person all the time. It's pretty hard to isolate one aspect of my life, but I'm actually teaching my 2 grandsons about classical music, and they each have their own pair of chopsticks, and when we get together, I put on some classical music and we conduct the orchestra.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good
so-
for you. And
yeah.
you're a winemaker, right?
No,
Or
a
wine
wine drinker.
connoisseur?
I'm a wine drinker, not a wine.
Okay. Okay. There you
And
go.
I do have a 37-year-old bottle of wine. So one thing I could do is, Jackie, I can keep it for next year and I can bring it here and we can see if my preservation strategies would lead to a legal disposition. We could share it right here.
I love it. I love it.
All right.
I love that idea. So let's talk a little bit about your company. I know there's you were telling me a little bit last night about it's a startup, right?
Yep, yep.
E-Compass.
Right.
E-Compass. What made you start that company?
It was actually started by one of my top business partners. I used to manage the content management business at HP and then at Micro Focus. And one of my top partners in the world had an idea around 2013. He was going to build the next great records management solution in the cloud and address a lot of the shortcomings in the product I was asking him to resell. And it's been an interesting journey because we found out a few things. One is that the world's probably not looking for the next great records management solution. There's a company called Microsoft, which has kind of captured the mind and attention of IT within large enterprise, and as a result of that, the old maxim, "it's good enough," really is pretty true today. Purview is pretty good enough. Now, not to say that there's not a lot of holes, but from a long-term technology perspective, we also didn't want to build a business on chasing Microsoft. We wanted to actually work with Microsoft and do things that Microsoft can't do within the Purview environment. And we've explored and we've actually implemented some very interesting new technology foundation that allows companies to basically do three things: is address the velocity of information, address the accuracy of information, and address the timeliness of information. And that's really kind of what our focus is on, because most business problems encompass 1, 2, or all 3 of those factors.
That's great. We can't wait to track that over the next year, see where it goes.
We can demo it for you tomorrow if you're not busy.
Yeah, look at that sales pitch on recording. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So let's switch gears a little bit. I know, David, over the years, you've been in this industry for a while.
Right.
And over the years, you've supported this conference, right? This is the 4th year,
It's
right?
the 4th year.
It's 4th
Yeah.
year. Next year is going to be 5. What has made you support this conference, and what value have you seen from this conference specifically in Jersey?
Well, I think you've hit the key word, value, right? This conference actually provides a lot of value to the people who attend it. And I have to say that one of the great strengths of Arma is the local chapters. And each of the local chapters, and not each, but the large ones like Houston, like this one, like where's Susan, New England, they're putting together these conferences because in one day or a day and a half, I think the members get a lot of value out of the people. And it's not just people like me or the incredible attorneys you've had here. It's the networking, it's the ability to talk about things. And when you're sitting in a room with people in 8 hours, sometimes you can get a lot more accomplished than you can by going to Detroit, for 4 days. So I think the value that this conference provides us in learning a lot of things, and also the information that we can share with those who attend, is pretty important.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a nice alternative, especially all of us, right? Especially the times that we're living in right now with the economy the way it is. It's just not, even if we want to go to Detroit this year, it's just not possible for everyone, right? Obviously, we'd love to have you in Detroit, love to see you in Detroit, but obviously, it's great to see chapters like Jersey, like New England, and New York, and Houston still putting on, and others that I, forget to mention, forgive me, still putting on one-day seminars,
Right.
2-day conferences to still give value back to the local chapters.
Right, exactly. And I think that, for Arma to be successful, I think they've done a couple of smart things. They've created a relationship now with MER, and I think that brings a different perspective of information governance to the organization. And I think by pushing more out to the field where everybody's living and working, breathing, those are two things, as the incoming president, those are the things that I would offer to you, to take back to the MER conference. I mean, to the Arma International as you ascend to the role of president, which is a pretty big role.
Yeah, for sure. At least I have a year to learn.
Get your feet wet.
Get the feet wet, yeah. So that's good. That's great advice. So let me ask you. I asked the same question to Ann and Jackie. The industry's changed a lot.
Right.
What are you excited about in the next? I won't even say 3 to 5 years. What are you excited about this next year?
Well, I'd like to see how this AI piece plays out. I think it's a no-brainer, but there's a lot of work to be done to get it out of the, this industry has been, and I've been in it a long time, so I remember client-server computing, that was a big buzz term. Then you had people talking about big data. Then you had people talking about robotic process automation. And these are important concepts. Some are more faddish than others, and some have real lasting staying power. And I think the technology that you see coming into the market today has tremendous staying power, but it has to be managed, one as part of a much larger holistic solution. That's something that Gartner advises, and that's something that, I totally ascribe to that. And the second thing is that the solution has to be encompassing, guardrails and also other aspects to make the end result, the recall, the presentation of information trustworthy and explainable. I think those are the two things. And the industry has made huge progress over the last year and a half on this concept of explainable AI. From a vendor standpoint, we still have a lot more to do in that space, and we're committed as a business to proving out, as opposed to saying, if I tell you that that's our secret sauce, I have to shoot you. So.
No, you know what? You mentioned something in one of your presentations. I think it was about an hour or two ago, if my memory serves me correctly, and it struck a chord with me. Being on the practitioner side, and I spent a little time on the vendor side, and I think you would agree that the most successful clients are the ones that work together with you, right?
Absolutely.
Why would you say that? Just for the benefit of everybody.
Well, look, I mean, I used to use the tennis analogy, but no one's playing tennis anymore, so it's a pickleball thing. When you play doubles pickleball, you're on the same side, working together to achieve a result. And certainly, vendors have great answers, but they don't know your business like you know your business. So we're providing a platform, a foundation to provide great answers, but the vendor really has, the client or the customer has to work with the vendor and really direct the vendor to integrate the culture and the business aspiration and the business problem into the solution. These solutions are all very powerful, whether it's ours or Shiny Docs or anybody else. There is a lot of inherent computing power in these solutions, but at the end of the day, it's only as good, just like we talked about earlier today, as Jason said, it's only as good as the information you give it. Technology only works as well as the way the customer and the vendor work together to produce a great result.
Yeah.
And I believe that, you know,
Yeah.
wholeheartedly.
No, absolutely. It'd be fair to say that, you know, for us as practitioners and solution providers, business partners, it's a true partnership, right? We can't view each other as, we're never really enemies, but we must work together, right, with this AI and new technology, ChatGPT, because you can't do it by yourself,
No,
right?
you can't.
But you might have the resources, right, that maybe the client doesn't.
Look, I don't know how many meetings I've been in, but the second question we always get asked as a vendor is, you know, where have you done this with my data before? And I've always wanted to be snarky and say, does that mean your data is not stored in rows and columns? Are you storing it diagonally or some other way? But the reality is you really have to work together. And look, partnerships, business partnerships, some are like a marriage, you know, so I've had successful business partnerships and, you know, I've had unsuccessful marriages. So I kind of know what works on both sides, and luckily, you know, I'm a lessons learned guy, so, you know, I've been able to carry that through, but, you know, we have to work as a team because we're only as good as the combination of technology and culture and, you know, business requirement. If we don't get those things together, it just doesn't work. The old Heisman trick, you know, stay away from me, you're a vendor, it doesn't work anymore. So that would be another message I would give to a lot of the people who attend the Arma conference. You know, it's not about the tchotchkes you collect on the show floor. It's, you know, it's about the people who you meet, you know, both within the industry and you know, because vendors, you know, can provide answers and solutions, and we're getting way better at helping organizations build business cases to prove an acquisition of new things. I mean, that's what we live on, but there's a flip side to that. That's what you need to be successful in your role, to get that bigger seat at the table and to provide real business value to your organization.
Yeah, that's spot on. I couldn't agree with you more. Well, listen, David, thank you so much for joining me in the hot seat. I know you literally just found out this morning.
It's a hot seat for sure.
All right, the hot seat. You sat next to me at dinner, but little did you know you were
I
going to
had
get a hot
no
seat
idea
today.
it was going to be this hot. You know,
Right?
that's okay.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining me today.
And
Appreciate it.
congratulations to you.
Well, listen, just throwing this out to everyone. If anybody wants to be a guest on the InfoGov hot seat, the website's up there. Register as a guest. Love to have you. 10 minutes or less. You know, I do send you the questions ahead of time, so it's not a true hot seat. David had a true hot seat. He didn't have any questions ahead of time. But yeah,
And
listen,
no
thanks
answers
so much.
either. So that was even better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
As a
Thank
former
you.
guest, he's very nice to you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the InfoGov Hot Seat. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and LinkedIn. Check out our main website at infogovhotseat.com to view our latest episodes and much more.